think it's time that we make this a not so secret strategy. So here I am about to tell you that your busy life is actually you self-sabotaging because you're too afraid to trust God and step out of the boat and onto the waves. And then you're going to say, maybe not out loud, it might just be in your head, but you're going to say, that is not true. My life is busy. I can't control it. I would love to change it. And if God would just make a way, I would follow him anywhere and I would do anything. And then I'm going to say, exactly. Okay, so now that we've got your ire up and your emotions and your defenses are on the table, let's have this conversation. If you're feeling something strongly right now, I'm going to assume it's because you love Jesus and you have something that you really want to do for and with him. But a busy life has gotten in the way. And that could be busyness in your schedule. That could be busyness in your relationships. That could be a busy mind. That could just be, like from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed, life is just busy. It's chaotic in one way, shape, or form. And it's made you come to the conclusion that you're stuck. And I'm here to tell you that you're not. And I just want to preface that I am on your side. I'm not here going to sit here and just tell you you're a failure. You should have it figured out by now. I've been stuck. I shouldn't say I have been or am. Never mind. I am. This comes up for me all the time. But I was stuck in that busy cycle for a good 10 years where I was busy doing nothing. And it's incredibly frustrating. So I know what it feels like. It sucks. And it's time that it just stops, because it can if we choose to make it stop. And if you think about it, busyness is actually a really brilliant strategy. Because if you are busy if you've got chaos or busyness in your life, again, one way, shape, or form, you don't have to face the fear that you really aren't sure if you know how to hear his voice and follow his leadership. And if your life is always busy, you don't have to face the fear that he's going to ask you to do something that you really don't want to do. I know that was a massive one for me. I'm like, if I just trust him and if I just follow him blindly, then I know what he's going to ask me to do and I don't want to do it. And that was basically, I know he's going to ask me to be a social butterfly like everybody else around me. And I don't want to be that kind of person. I don't know why I thought he was going to ask me to do that. But I was like, well, if I trust you, you're going to ask me to be a social butterfly. So therefore, if I'm busy, I don't have to actually face up here. And up till now, he's never asked that of me. So I don't know why I thought that, but I did. And therefore, busyness was a really good strategy. Because of these underlying deep-rooted fears, what happens is that you fill your calendar, you fill your life, you fill your mind so that you don't have to deal with that uncertainty. Because if you're just busy-minded or busy life or busy, just if there's chaos in your life, then that's where you have a really good reason to put your focus over there, and you don't have to face these fears and be it's almost like being stuck in a busy life is more comfortable than being stuck with a God who's disappointed in you, which we know he's not. And yet like in our head, we know that he's not disappointed in us, but in our hearts, we feel like we've absolutely failed him. And this really hits home for the ones who know, when you know that it's like, I know I was called to this specific thing and I have not been able to do it. I have not been able to figure it out. And my life has not, again, it's that whole thing of, if God would just make a way, I would totally do it. And so that tension of, what you want to do for him and with him, but you haven't been able to figure that out. And that just pushes you deeper and deeper and deeper. It almost like reaffirms this fear that you're a disappointment, which I'm using the example of a disappointment, but it's going to be different for each person. That fear is unique to you, but also don't let it be so unique that you can't overcome it. Because here's the truth. That noise, that busyness, it's the very thing that is keeping you from discovering who Jesus really is, and that he really is trustworthy, and that he really wants to lead you, and that you actually are part of his family, and he has something that he also, like, he wants to do life with you. He wants to bring the impact of the kingdom in small ways, but they're real ways. And over time, they're not small, they're massive, but the day-to-day feels really small. And he wants to do that in partnership with you, because he totally can bring all the change in the world that he wants to on his own, but he wants to do it with you. But you have to deal with that fear underneath that is keeping you, it's that whole thing from, oh man, like for years where I'm like, okay, the thing I want to do is this good thing, but the thing that I keep finding myself doing is everything that I don't want to do. That dynamic is because there's some fear underneath that drives us to our comfort zone rather than driving us to stepping out of the boat and onto the waves. And it sounds super spiritual because it sounds like, I'm totally with you, Jesus. I will be out of this boat as soon as possible. I just need a few minutes to get my to-do list done. And then I'm right there. But then those few minutes turn into a few hours, which turns into days and years and decades. But it's always this, again, we're in that tension of, I'm totally with you. I'm going to be out of this boat. I'm going to trust you. I just have to get this thing done first. And that's the busy cycle on repeat again and again in our lives. And it sounds like faith, but it's not faith. It's calculated, strategic delay disguised as devotion, which kind of feels really gross when you think of it and you just like rephrase it that way. I don't know about you, but that is just like, ugh, I don't want that to be the end of my story. And I also really don't want that to be the end of your story either. It's kind of sad because as long as you're in the boat, you can keep telling yourself that you are trusting Jesus, but at the same time, deep, deep down, you are promising yourself that you will never get out. You are never going to put yourself in a place where you are unsafe or unprotected. And we all have this, like every human being has an incredibly strong, a word came to mind and then just slipped away. But basically, it's part of ourselves that is like on the job to protect us. And we come up with really clever strategies to make sure that we stay protected from kind of like from ourselves, but also we protect ourselves from other people. We protect ourselves from uncomfortable situations, from going through something. When we go through something that's hard, it's almost like something gets cemented in us and we protect ourselves. And the sad thing is that there's a lot of like, in order to trust Jesus, we have to lay down our defenses, which is really hard to do and it takes a lot of time. But it often will sound like, we're in the boat telling ourselves that we're trusting Jesus, but then at the same time promising ourselves we are never going to get out of this boat because that is way too scary. And again, you might be looking at it's like the thing that you want to do for Jesus is like there's something, because you're in this place of tension where you're not settled where you are. You want to be doing something. You want to get out of that boat. And yet you have this part of you that's totally on the job protecting you. And so you're just living this place of tension, which is a really, really hard place to live. But it kind of, it sounds like, well, when my circumstances change, or when my kids grow up, or when the group kind of figures this out, then I'll be able to change. There's always something in between us and the change that we want to achieve. But my question is, what if that change doesn't come? Like, what if the circumstances don't change? What if your kids don't grow up? I'm just kidding. Assuming your kids are going to grow up. But even there too, that was a joke, but there's a lot of truth in that too. Maybe your kids they physically have grown up, but you still have this kind of, you can't really let them grow up, or you can't release them and get on with your life and in the best of ways. But sometimes there's just these things where, again, because that your kids were, and I'm just going to harp on this a little bit, your kids may have become the thing that was protecting you from truly stepping out of the boat and trusting Jesus. So even when they grow up, you kind of almost still have to keep your life busy with them in some way in order to protect yourself because they were the thing that was protecting you. And again, it's not, we're not necessarily filling up our lives with chaos that is all bad. Sometimes it's bad, but it's not all bad stuff. It's like we buff our lives with good things, and they could be good, godly things, but they're not good if they are getting in the way, or if they keep on covering up this root of this fear that we have where we can't really trust Jesus. So you might keep on volunteering at your church all the while, you're trying to please Jesus and you're trying to please the other Christians around you, but all the while you're terrified of trusting him. And that root needs to be dealt with because it's not going to go away over time, and it's not going to go away on its own. And learning to trust him might be as simple as just stopping and saying, Jesus, I trust you right here, right now. It might look like locking yourself in the bathroom for 5 minutes at noon every day and quieting your mind and focusing your heart back on him, reading a Bible verse or two, and just redirecting your mind so that you can slowly, again, I say 5 minutes because when we are so used to chaos, and it feels like it's like, no, my life really is chaotic. I really can't change it, or I really am waiting for something else to change in order for me to be able to do what I really want to do. Then when we're so used to that kind of thinking, it is really scary to start to change that. So if you are going to start to change that, and I hope that you do, make it small. Do something like for 5 minutes, because for some people, sitting on the couch for 5 minutes and not picking up their phone or not getting up and starting to get busy again, that is going to be the first few times you do it, that's going to be the hardest 5 minutes of your life. It's going to feel like eternity. I don't know why sometimes eternity, it's like one word. Eternity. I don't know why sometimes I just stutter halfway through a word, but I do. But yeah, that 5 minutes is going to feel like eternity. And then the next time you do it, it gets a little bit easier and a little bit easier. And then you can start to stretch yourself. And then all of a sudden, you're a little bit more comfortable with quiet space in your life. And then you're like, you know what? Maybe I don't need such a full schedule. Maybe I can say no to this thing that I was going to do. Or maybe I can like just let my relationships be peaceful and they don't always have to be dramatic or chaotic, or it starts to trickle into a lot of other areas of life. When you create change, small change that's real, just like you want it to be real, it doesn't need to be big because it's going to grow. It doesn't need to be big, just let it be small. Okay, I kind of like jumped into action steps, but I have a little bit more to say. All right, so I want to reframe something for you, because now what you might be feeling is, now that I just gave that 5 minute example, you might be already falling into the trap of, okay, I'm going to, once I get past these next 3 days that are like super busy, right? Then my life's it's like, it'll be back to the normal busy. And then I'll do that 5 minutes. Don't do that. You want to do it right in the middle of your busy life, whatever life looks like. Find something, because what happens is that when we are reaching for something, it can be as small as just like teaching ourselves to be okay in silence and peace and in the presence of God. Something that small, what was I going to say? I got totally, my goodness, sometimes my brain goes on bunny trails. It's not, okay, so even when we're trying to add that small 5 minute thing in, it's like just this, okay, I just have to get this other thing done. But the thing is that if you want to add something good into your life, the trap that we fall into is, I've got to tame the chaos in order for this good thing to grow. Don't fall into that trap. That's what you've done for eons. It hasn't worked. It most likely will not work. I have never seen that work in my own life. And the thing that I've had to learn time and time again is just do the good thing. So for example, my house I always felt like I can make YouTube videos when my house is clean and tidy. And therefore, my house would always be just messy enough that I felt like I didn't have time to make YouTube videos. And so what I had to learn to do was go make the video. It does not matter I don't care what the house looks like, go make the video. And it wasn't until I did that it was like I something just broke, and the busyness, it was like, yeah, again, it was just as simple as, instead of letting the busyness have control and like where I was stuck in this narrative, I just went and made the video, and then I could deal with the home, but it was separated. And so it wasn't like this huge emotional tug of war that was going on inside of me. And so my advice to you is to figure out, what is it that you want to grow in your life? Like, what are you wanting to increase? Just figure out how to, like don't worry about how that's going to fit into everything just yet. Just figure out, what is the small thing that I can do today. And seriously, like, make it 5 minutes. Even, sometimes maybe you have a project that you're working on. It might be, maybe you're wanting to write a book or a devotional, or you're writing music, or maybe you want to start volunteering somewhere. If you're going to volunteer somewhere, then just like go and look up the phone number and put that phone number into your phone. Make it that small. If maybe you have kind of like some drafts for your book, but you haven't looked at it for a really long time, go and open up your computer or wherever you have your notes and just go look at it. That's it. Like, make it that small. And then tomorrow, do a little bit more and a little bit more. But don't stop yourself from falling into the trap of, when I get I'll have time, or just basically it's the trap of, I just have to do this and then I'll do that thing. So absolutely do those things. Like, I do not want to, I am in no way trying to come across, I might be coming across this way, but I'm in no way trying to come across as saying that you shouldn't have to deal with life, or that you shouldn't have to worry about making food or cleaning your home or managing relationships or all these different things. It's quite the opposite. Like, I really do think that Christians should be some of the wisest and most skilled in every area of life. So do those things, but don't let those things be the thing that keeps you from reading the Bible in the morning or at any time of day. But like, don't let that be the thing that keeps you from God's presence. Don't let the busyness or these other important things be what keeps you from doing the work that He has given you to do. It might have kept you from doing that work for the last 30, 40 years, but it doesn't have to keep on keeping you from doing your work. So to summarize that little part, when you learn to do the right thing, the wrong things will take care of themselves. You might have to do a little bit of work to wrap them up, but for the most part, they're going to take care of themselves. Because again, this could be a whole nother video, but when you start to do your work, you're going to feel fulfilled. You're going to be happy. You're going to be like, wow, I'm on track. And then all of a sudden, it's just like, there's just a lot of life that kind of just sorts itself out when you feel in alignment with who you were created to be. Because it's an incredible feeling. And the chaos just has a way of fading away, which is fantastic. So don't worry about taming the busyness. Transform the person who created it. All right, so to summarize, I want to just bring all this together and remind you that this is not about external actions so much as, are you living from a place of trust or from fear? Because again, even a lot of our good things that we do, when we have a lot of busyness or chaos in our life, and despite our best attempts, we have not figured out how to tame it or how to calm it down or get rid of it. It's kind of like, you try to calm it down and just something else takes its place. That is a huge sign that that busyness is a coping mechanism. And it's a part of you that is trying to protect yourself. As a Christian, it's likely that part of you that's trying to protect yourself from Jesus. And you might also be trying to protect yourself from others. Again, I was busy because I filled up my life with busyness in my early years of marriage, because not that it's related to marriage, but I was afraid of, even if someone would ask if I wanted to go for a walk and it was too short notice and I didn't feel like I could say no, if I was busy all the time, then that protected me from those, like just something as simple as someone saying, hey, do you want to go for a walk together? Which is great. That's a good thing. I want to be okay doing that, but because I didn't know how to say no, or I didn't even know how to say, could we go this afternoon or could we go tomorrow? I filled my life up with busyness. And even recently, like as of this past year, I've been realizing that when I'm in a room with people, and I guess, sometimes it could happen with my husband and I are sitting down together, and then he gets up to go do something, and I just have this urge to pick up my phone because I'm terrified of the silence with God. I'm terrified of the silence in my own head, which is so weird because I'm like, I have been working on this for how long? And something, just this busyness will creep in where I need the busyness to keep myself safe. And so this is one of those things that can come up again and again and again. And all you got to do is just tackle it as many times as is necessary, because you're dealing, like, busyness is a strategy. It's a useful, not useful, but kind of useful tool that we have to keep us safe. But busyness is not the same thing. So whether it's like your busyness might be you're on your phone all the time, or it might be that you go shopping all the time, or that you're always helping people with absolutely everything just to keep yourself busy. It's not actually that surface thing that's the problem. It's that there's something deep inside that it's like, am I operating from trust? And it might be a different word from you, but I'll just using trust. Are you operating from a place of trust, or are you operating from some kind of fear? And if you are, then be honest with yourself. Be honest with the Holy Spirit. Be honest with Jesus, and just tell him, like, I have wanted to trust you, but I am so terrified that fill in the blank. What is it that you're terrified of? Are you terrified that he's just, that he's asking you to live a life of trust, but he's kind of like just always indifferent to you, right? Sometimes I get that's something that comes up for me, that I feel that it's like, okay, I'm trying to do this for you, but if I kind of just think about like how I've just believed that he's indifferent. It's kind of like, well, if I don't figure it out, then he's just going to get someone else, because there's lots of people who can do what I do, kind of thing. And it's like, there's no trust in that. If that is what I'm believing in my heart, I don't like it. I don't want to believe it. But if that's a deep core thing that I'm believing, I need to deal with that, because that is not who he is. That is not the character of who our God is that we see in the Bible. But it's like, of course I'm going to have that. Like, I'm a broken human I'm going to have the wrong perspective. And so it's just good to work through these things and to not settle for it. Like, don't settle for a busy life. Your life doesn't have to be busy. And it doesn't mean that you have to be sitting around doing nothing. Like, figure out what do you want your life to look like? And where, if you weren't just kind of always needing this busyness, what would you have in your life? What would you remove from your life? And so anyway, start small, let it grow, let the chaos start to take care of itself a little bit. And again, like, do what you need to do in the home, but also let the thing, excuse me, let what you want to grow, just figure out how to make that thing grow. Don't worry about calming the chaos, because if all you do is focus on the chaos, it's not going to calm it. Like, this thing that you want to grow isn't just going to grow up on its own. So I feel like I've repeated myself 100 times. All right, so I'm just going to cut myself off there and end with, read your Bible, get lost in the story of God, and play your part. And I will talk to you soon.